Hello everyone, this is Dr. P.R. Chaudhary from KK Wagh College of Agriculture, Nasik. Today we are going to study about energy metabolism under the course Food Science and Nutrition FST 362. Energy metabolism can be defined as the processes that include food intake, burning the food to release energy, and storing the excess for the time of energy shortage. Energy metabolism refers to all the reactions involved in generating adenosine triphosphate ATP from nutrients during both aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Energy metabolism mainly includes carbohydrate, protein, and fat metabolism. Now let us first quickly go through the digestive system. The digestive system is made up of the liver, pancreas, gallbladder and the gastrointestinal tract, also called as the GI tract or the digestive tract. The GI tract is a series of hollow organs joined in a long twisting tube from the mouth to the anus. They include mouth, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum and anus, while the liver, pancreas and gallbladder are the solid organs of the digestive system. Next we will study the 6 steps of digestive process, namely ingestion, propulsion, mechanical digestion, chemical digestion, absorption and defecation. Ingestion is nothing but taking food in mouth. Propulsion is movement of food through gastrointestinal tract. It includes swallowing and peristalsis. Peristalsis is involuntary movements of the longitudinal and circular muscles that occur in progressive wave-like contractions. Peristaltic waves occur in the esophagus, stomach and the intestines. Next step is mechanical digestion, in which food is prepared for chemical digestion. It includes chewing, churning and segmentation of food. Chewing or mastication occurs in mouth, where food is broken into smaller bits and mixed with saliva. The mechanical churning of food occurs in the stomach and serves to further break it apart and expose more of its surface area to digestive juices. Segmentation mainly occurs in the small intestine. It is the process of moving food back and forth in the intestinal lumen. This helps to mix food with digestive juices and facilitates absorption. Chemical digestion is a process in which enzymes break down complex food molecules. Starting in the mouth, digestive secretions or enzymes break down complex food molecules into their chemical building blocks. Example, proteins are broken down into separate amino acids. The process of absorption mainly takes place within the small intestine, where most nutrients are absorbed from the lumen of the alimentary canal into the bloodstream. And the last step is defecation, where elimination of undigested substances from the body usually occurs. In the next section, we are going to study various mechanisms which are involved in digestion, absorption and metabolism of carbohydrates in human body. The mechanical and chemical digestion of carbohydrates begin in the mouth. The salivary amylase ptyalin breaks down starch into maltose and smaller chains of glucose called dextrins. Only about 5% of starches are broken down in the mouth. When carbohydrates reach the stomach, no further chemical breakdown occurs because amylase enzyme does not function in the acidic condition of stomach. However, mechanical breakdown continues. The strong peristaltic contraction in the stomach mix the carbohydrates into the more uniform mixture of chyme. Chyme is nothing but partly digested food along with gastric juices. The chyme is gradually expelled into the upper part of small intestine. Upon entry of the chyme into small intestine, the pancreas releases pancreatic juice through a duct. This pancreatic juice contains the enzyme pancreatic amylase, which starts the breakdown of dextrins into shorter carbohydrate chains. Additionally, enzymes are secreted by intestinal cells. These enzymes include sucrase, maltase, and lactase. Sucrase breaks sucrose into glucose and fructose molecules. Maltase breaks the bond between the two glucose units of maltose, and lactase breaks the bond between galactose and glucose. Once carbohydrates are chemically broken down into single sugar units, that is monosaccharides, they are then transported into the inside of intestinal cells. The last step occurs in large intestine. Almost all of the carbohydrates except for dietary fiber and resistant starches are efficiently digested and absorbed into the body. Some of the remaining indigestible carbohydrates are broken down by enzymes released by bacteria present in the large intestine. The products of bacterial digestion are short-chain fatty acids and some gases. The short-chain fatty acids are either used by bacteria to make energy and grow, or they are eliminated in the feces. Some of them are absorbed into the cells of large intestine and are transported to the liver. Next we will study carbohydrate absorption. Most of the nutrient absorption occurs in the small intestine. The cells in the small intestine, villi, transport the monosaccharides and other nutrients into the blood, from where they are further distributed to the rest of the body. The first organ to receive glucose, fructose and galactose is the liver. The liver takes them up and converts galactose to glucose and breaks fructose into even smaller carbon-containing units. The stomach usually lacks such a highly increased surface area, thus allowing only the absorption of highly lipid-soluble substances. A small part of glucose is stored in liver and muscles as glycogen, and some portion of the glucose is converted into fat and stored in fat-storing adipose tissue. Remaining glucose is exported back to the blood and distributed to different tissues for oxidation. How much glucose the liver exports to the blood is under hormonal control of insulin, which is secreted by pancreas. The last step is carbohydrate metabolism. Metabolism of all nutrients occur within the cells of our body. The final oxidation of nutrients into carbon dioxide and water occurs in mitochondria. About 40% of the energy released is used to synthesize ATP, while remaining is released as heat. During aerobic respiration, oxidation of glucose in tissues occur in 3 stages, namely glycolysis, Krebs cycle, and electron transport chain. Aerobic respiration produces up to 36 to 38 ATP per glucose molecule. 2 ATPs are generated during glycolysis, 2 are generated during Krebs cycle, and approximately 32 to 34 ATPs are generated during electron transport chain. On the other hand, in anaerobic respiration, only glycolysis occurs and therefore only 2 ATPs are generated. Next we will study proteins, their digestion, absorption and metabolism. Proteins are complex organic compounds made up of single units called amino acids. Protein metabolism includes various biochemical processes responsible for synthesis of proteins and amino acids, that is anabolism, and breakdown of proteins, that is catabolism. We will first study digestion of protein in stomach. In the process of digestion, proteins are broken down to amino acids. Proteolytic enzymes that hydrolyze protein are collectively known as proteases or peptidases. Papain in papaya and bromelain in pineapple are examples of proteolytic enzymes found in fruits. Protein digestion starts in the stomach. The gastric glands of stomach produce gastric juice which contains hydrochloric acid and enzyme pepsin. Hydrochloric acid denatures the protein in stomach. In this process, the protein uncoils and loses its natural shape. The protein will no longer function once it is denatured because the shape usually determines the function. The presence of hydrochloric acid also makes the medium highly acidic so that pepsin can act on proteins and convert them into peptones. Hydrochloric acid also helps to kill bacteria and other harmful organisms that may be present along with the food. Further digestion of proteins is carried out in small intestine. When the food gastric juice mixture called chyme enters the small intestine, the pancreas releases sodium bicarbonate to neutralize the hydrochloric acid. Excess gastric acid can cause stomach ulcers. Therefore, it is important to neutralize them. Sodium bicarbonate is released in response to digestive hormone secretin. Neutralization helps to protect the lining of intestine. Secretin is released by small intestine along with other digestive hormone cholecystokinin, which stimulate digestive processes to break down the proteins. In addition, the pancreas releases most of the digestive enzymes, including the proteases trypsin, chymotrypsin, carboxypeptidase, and elastase, which help in protein digestion. Together, all of these enzymes break complex proteins into smaller individual amino acids. These amino acids are absorbed in the small intestine and transported to liver through hepatic portal system. From the liver, the amino acids enter the blood circulation and are then used either to create new proteins or converted into fats or acetyl coenzyme A, which will be used in Krebs cycle. Let's quickly overview the protein digestion once again. First, partial protein digestion by the enzyme pepsin and stomach acid hydrochloric acid. Second, further protein digestion by enzymes released by the pancreas. Third, final digestion of protein to amino acids takes place mostly inside cells of the small intestine. Fourth, amino acids are absorbed into the portal vein and transported to the liver. From there, they enter the general bloodstream. And fifth, little dietary protein is excreted through feces. Let's move on to protein metabolism. Protein metabolism consists of a cycle of breaking down proteins, synthesizing new ones, and removing nitrogenous waste products that are result of these reactions. The amount of protein needed to balance this cycle changes throughout an individual's life. For example, growing children who are creating new muscle and bone have higher protein needs than adults. There is a continuous need for protein to make hormones, enzymes, antibodies, and to produce new tissue and repair damaged tissues. About 75% of human body tissue is made of protein, out of which 1 to 2% of body's total protein is broken down each day into amino acids and recycled into new proteins. About 60 to 70% of the amino acids the body needs come from this recycling process. The rest must be supplied through diet. Freely available amino acids are used to create protein. When in excess, the amino acids are processed and stored as glucose or ketones or decomposed. The nitrogen waste that is generated in this process is converted to urea through urea acid cycle and eliminated in the urine. In times of starvation, amino acids can be used as an energy source and processed through Krebs cycle. The liver is at the heart of protein metabolism. It has both anabolic and catabolic functions. In the liver, amino acids are synthesized into larger protein that circulate through the body, performing variety of tasks including stimulating production of other proteins. The liver also breaks down proteins, example hemoglobin found in dead red blood cells. The liver cleanses the body by removing cellular debris and processing excess nitrogen that is produced by chemical reactions within cells. This excess nitrogen is initially in the form of ammonia. Ammonia is a toxic product of nitrogen metabolism which should be removed from our body. The urea cycle or ornithine cycle converts excess ammonia into urea in the mitochondria of liver cells. The urea formed then enters the bloodstream, gets filtered by the kidneys, and is ultimately excreted in the urine. This lost nitrogen must then be replaced through diet. The last part of protein metabolism is nitrogen balance. Nitrogen balance is the difference between nitrogen excreted from the body and nitrogen ingested through the diet. When a person is on a protein-free diet or diet inadequate in protein, the tissue proteins are broken down. The resulting amino acids are oxidized and the nitrogen is then excreted through urine. The nitrogen lost in urine and feces on a protein-free diet is called endogenous nitrogen, which is derived from the body. When protein is taken in the diet, new tissue proteins are formed. When the nitrogen intake equals the nitrogen excreted from the body is said to be in state of nitrogen equilibrium. When the nitrogen excreted from the body is less than that of nitrogen intake, body is in positive nitrogen balance. In this case, the nitrogen is retained to form new tissues. Example, during growth, pregnancy, lactation, and recovery from illnesses. If nitrogen excreted from body is higher than the nitrogen intake, then the body is said to be in negative nitrogen balance. Example, during dietary deprivation, illnesses, and certain types of stress, the body loses nitrogen and is in negative balance. The recommended dietary allowance of protein for adults is 0.8 gram per kilogram of body weight per day. For endurance athletes, it is 1.2 to 1.4 gram, and for people undergoing strength training, it is 2 gram per kilogram of body weight per day. So we have completed carbohydrate and protein metabolism today. In our next lecture, we will study lipid and fat metabolism. Thank you.